Hello, everyone, and welcome back for our Cannes Film Festival 2025 recap. Days 8 and 9 today, I believe. And it seems like it's happened. It's happened. We've hit some of the masterpieces, the raves, the reviews, and the kinds of films that we were expecting out of this festival. It's funny, it's almost the same timetable as last year, where like the early parts of the festival is like, okay, there's some good movies, but nothing's like really like grabbing everyone. And then I think pretty much around the same day that Honora premiered last year, another neon film premiered this year, Sentimental Value. I think getting probably the biggest raves of the festival thus far. We'll get into it in a second. We've got Sentimental Value, we've got the history of sound, a little more iffy reviews there for sure. We've got It Was Just an Accident, which is also getting great reviews for panahi, and Eleanor the Great. We're going to talk about that quickly. We've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. Let's start off here with It Was Just an Accident, directed by Jafar Panahi, who, if you're not aware, similar situation to Mohammad Ruslan last year, a filmmaker who has been imprisoned and detained and just like pushed down by the Iranian government and that whole regime that's going on. So similar situation to Ruslan last year. Something to keep in mind with this film and also the subject matter of the film. It says here, what begins as a minor accident sets into motion a series of escalating consequences. A group of former prisoners seek revenge against a man they believe tortured them. Let's look at the reviews. This is getting great reviews, as you can see here, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think definitely one of the best reviewed films of the fest thus far. We've got Steve Pond over at the RAVE. It says the bracing thing about It Was Just an Accident is that it has married Panahi's wit and humanism with real anger. If many of his previous films lulled you into realizing his points about oppression and injustice, this one is downright confrontational. So I think after everything he has gone through, it seems like, because I believe he was detained in 2022 and he was recently released in 2023. I may have the timetable wrong on that, but it was semi-recent going on. David Arlick says, the narrative convenience might strain credibility, but that's a small price to pay for the unanswerable questions that it layers into Panahi's film, effectively deepening a self-conflicted parable into something rich and less resolved. Pretty good there, a B+ review. And lastly, from Jordan Minzer here, says, subtly plotted like a good thriller, the movie slowly but surely builds into a stark condemnation of abusive power and its long-lasting effects. Great reviews. I haven't seen a single negative review for it. It seems like everyone who has seen it seems to have enjoyed it. As we see here, look at the Letterboxd curve. There's like nothing there over in the negative ratings. There's like pretty much nothing below a 3-star, and most people are giving it 4 stars. So very well reviewed. I've also seen people say that this has like one of the best endings of the year and one of the best like in a long time. So I'm excited to see that. Lots of people talking about the third act of this film in particular. Great. The plot details are still like, as you can see when I read the synopsis, are still a little like we don't know a ton about it. So I'm just excited to see people seem to be enjoying it. I'm excited to see what is going on here. In terms of awards at Cannes, this is going to win an award. I feel like I believe Juliette Binoche, who is the head of the jury here, has spoken about how much she really likes Panahi's films in particular. So I feel like last year, I know we went into Cannes with Mohammad Ruslan and Seed of the Sacred Fig and the whole story surrounding him and escaping Iranian imprisonment. And we were like, well, he's going to have to win some sort of award at Cannes. And they ended up giving him a special prize, but he didn't end up winning like one of the big awards. So I guess we could be saying the same thing here with the story surrounding Panahi and the film getting good reviews, just like See the Sacred Fig, just like Ruslan had a similar story last year. It's like, well, it should win an award. So we could be in the same situation, but I don't know, something feels different about this, especially just because the head jury has spoken about how much she likes his films. It'll win something, I feel like, especially because there's not a ton of films getting as good reviews. Like, this is a rare Letterboxd curve. We have not seen many films here at the festival that have had a curve as strong as this and had reviews as strong as this. It could win the Palme, honestly. He has won, I believe, 2 of the 3 like major European film festival awards. So this would like round about the trifecta for him. He's never won the Palme, so that could happen. He could be in one of the runner-up positions. He could win screenplay. He could win director. It seems like any of those are up in the air, but I would say it will win one of those awards. And then awards outside of that, I don't know what the international submission case with this will be. I know see that Sacred Vague was able to be submitted by Germany because obviously Iran wasn't going to support that film, and that's the same situation here. I doubt this is a filmmaker that they've imprisoned and clearly do not support, so they will not pick it. And that whole international film selecting system is something that needs to be fixed, but it will not be fixed this year. So if another country is able to select it, then I would say this has a decent shot at getting nominated. But that situation remains up in the air. So we shall see, but I do think it will win a Cannes Award because it's one of the best reviewed so far. Let's get into it. Sentimental Value from Neon, directed by Joachim Trier. He did Worst Person in the World here. It premiered here at Cannes a few years ago, I believe, and I believe it won some awards. I believe it won for Renate. Speaking of it, starring reinsve, stellan skarsgard, Elle Fanning. Probably the biggest star cast. Like, this is the first, I think, film that Trier has done that has like true Hollywood stars with Skarsgard and Elle Fanning present here. In case you don't know, it follows two sisters who are grieving the loss of their mother when their long estranged father returns into the picture. Renate is one of the two sisters in the said photo here, who is grieving the loss of their mother. Stellan Skarsgard plays their father, and he is a film director. He returns home because he wants to make a film. He offered the lead actress role to his daughter, who is an actress played by Renate. She denies it. There's obviously some strife between their relationship, it seems. It seems, from what I'm gathering, he is a father who maybe like pursued his career a little more than his family, and he became a successful director, but he's not as close with his family as I would imagine their mother was. Their mother passes away. He returns home and he's like, well, I've got this film idea. And in a way to try to connect to Renate's character, his daughter, he's like, and you can be the lead actress. And she passes on it. And then he still makes the film. And Elle Fanning, a Hollywood actress, is playing the role that he offered his daughter. So lots of drama, lots of familial drama and stuff going on there. It sounds very interesting to me. Love Worst Person in the World. I'm very excited to see it. Even more so after the reviews here. 19-minute standing ovation, I believe like the third or fourth biggest in the history of the Cannes Film Festival. Raves all across the board. I haven't seen a single negative review for this, so insane. Sitting there at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Let's look at some of these reviews. This was like the most mixed that I saw on Rotten Tomatoes, and even then it's a very positive review. But Tim Grierson says, on its surface, the film may touch on the familiar theme of how artists draw from their own lives, but Renate Reinsve and Stellan Skarsgard bring incredible tenderness to a story that is ultimately about what children and parents never say to one another. Seems very much to be about familial relationships for sure. Brother Bro says, Sentimental Value is a home run. I was smacking my chops at how well realized each scene was on a level of direction, screenwriting, and performance from all four major cast members. Breezy, funny, extremely intimate. Every indie film lover should race to see it. Another rave. So it sounds like all of the four performances are great. Just sounds like it works on every level. David Ehrlich says, Sentimental Value, Joachim Trier's fun, tender, and ecstatically powerful family portrait frames the movies as a conduit for mercy. Easily the best film he's made thus far, which is a high bar given Worst Person in the World is incredible. And just as easily the best film of Cannes thus far, an instant classic. Coming from someone who I think David Ehrlich has established himself a little bit as being a more critical critic for sure, and he's saying it's an instant classic and the best film of Cannes. It's looking great. Our last review here, we've got Pete Hammond, who says the real force of nature in Sentimental Value is Skarsgard. The film comes alive each moment he is on screen as a man who turned his back on his daughters and even his grandson for the sake of his career. So the acting standouts in particular seem to be Skarsgard and Reinsve, which I think you would have expected going into it. I've seen some shoutouts for both of the potential supporting actors contenders, the actress who plays Reinsve's sister, as well as Elle Fanning. We'll have to see how strong the film is. Who knows? It could be a double supporting contender. Neither of them could get in. I feel like Elle Fanning in particular, there was some buzz around her last award season. I think this will be a stronger film and a meatier role and probably even more acting buzz surrounding this. It feels possible. It feels plausible for me, but that's a long way down the line. But I would definitely keep an eye out for her. The fact that she's playing this Hollywood actress who comes into the family dynamic, something about that just sounds juicy to me. But we'll see. Looking at the curve here, it's incredible. That's the best curve that we've seen thus far this festival. That's a lot of fives, a lot of 4.5s, and a lot of 4s, and pretty much nothing most people rate it on that level. So insane curve, 19-minute standing ovation, raves. This is an Oscar contender. This is a contender for the Palme. Neon has won the Palme d'Or the last 5 years, and I think this is obviously their best shot at winning it again. But I know lots of people are now well, it's set in stone. This is obviously just going to win the Palme. Something about this year's jury, I don't know. This year's jury, I think, is going to have an even more like artistic and distinct taste, with people like Binoche and even like Jeremy Strong. We've got a Payal Kapadia. It's a very, I don't know. I can't, you can't do it any year, get a vibe on what the jury's taste is, but something about, I don't know. It could just easily, obviously, be Sentimental Value because it seems like the best review thus far. Everyone loves it. So if everyone loves it, I'm sure everyone on the jury seemed to have loved it as well. So it could just be that, but something about the jury makes me a little less confident in it. It's even going into the festival, it seemed like the obvious pick. Like, oh, well, it's just going to be Sentimental Value that wins the Palme because it's neon and it's their biggest contender, and we're all predicting it will be an Oscar contender as well. And usually, most years, the film that you go into Cannes thinking, oh, that'll probably win the Palme. Most years, it doesn't end up winning the Palme. So we'll see. It could be that, but I'm hesitant. But regardless, it will win an award here at Cannes. I don't think it will win actress. I think that's still J-Lo, especially because reinsve won for worst person in the world. It could win actor because there hasn't been any clear standouts for that so far, not on the same level as Lawrence in Die My Love. So it could win actor for Skarsgard. I would definitely keep an eye out on that, especially because it will get into a history of sound. Will not be winning that category, I would say. Um, it could win, obviously, the Palme. It could win director. I don't think they'll just give it screenplay. I feel like it seems too strong to just be a screenplay thing. But regardless, it will win an award at Cannes. It could double up at some films. It's rare, but some films win multiple awards. Regardless, this is your biggest Oscar contender that's premiered at the entire festival thus far. This is going to be, in my opinion, Neon's big push. Therefore, it's going to probably be a top 5 contender. I'm not going to speculate like what exactly. Oh, you know what? I might as well. I think it would get picture. I think it would get director because there's always a Cannes director that Cannes international film director that carries over at the Oscars into the director category. It's consistent. Just look at like pretty much since like the pandemic began. It's been pretty consistently happening. It'll get actress. It'll get supporting actor. Those are pretty clearly in there, I would say. I'd say it's win competitive in supporting actor. I think it's probably going to be Skarsgard versus Sandler for Jay Kelly. I think it will probably get Elle Fanning. That's what I would guess. It will obviously get original screenplay. It'll get international feature film. People pointed out that the editing is very good. Some people also pointed out the score. So I think that those are your main categories to keep an eye on. Unless I'm missing, it could get casting is a hard category to keep an eye on. I don't know, maybe, but there's not any distinct discoveries besides maybe her sister, and I feel like that category is going to be very discovery focused. So we'll see. But yeah, huge Oscar contender. It might just win the Palme. This is the film of the festival thus far, for sure. So I'm very excited to see it. Hopefully it hits like TIFF or something. I don't know what Neon's release plans are for it. I imagine it'll be similar to what they've done with their last biggest Oscar contenders like Anora or Anatomy. So it will probably play at TIFF, and I'll probably have to wait until September to see it. But I will be. I'm seated. On to our next film, Romería, directed by Carla Simone. In case you don't know, it follows an 18-year-old woman who was orphaned at an early age, and she seeks to meet her grandparents for the first time to get their signature on an application for a scholarship. Pretty good reviews for this. It's in line with a lot of the films that we've seen throughout this festival. It's pretty good, but it's not amazing. So let's just look at some of the reviews. Wendy Ide, who says, while this picture lacks the guileless immediacy of the child's eye view of her first 2 films, Romería demonstrates once again that Simone has a rare gift for capturing the unpredictable, mercurial beast that is the family. A negative one here, we've got Nicholas Bell, who says, a film which feels like a humble, highly personal exercise in catharsis for Simone. However, the increasingly monotonous narrative, underserved by a lack of dramatic conflict and a muted character arc, fails to compel. So it seems like at least according to Nicholas here, the complaints are it might be a little repetitive, it might be a little slow, and there's not the same level. You're not as invested in the drama that's going on in the film. And then one positive here, we've got Danson Dan, who says, loved Romería, Carla Simone's gentle memoir about a young woman meeting her biological family for the first time, beautifully captures the feeling of being both inside and outside familial relationships and the secret shames and resentments that never fully heal. So, as you can see here at the curve, pretty positive, but it's not at the same, like, this is not this, this is not like 5s, 4.5s, and 4s. It's sitting in the middle, which a lot of the films have been thus far. It's not amazing. It's not terrible. It's pretty good. So that's Romería. I don't see any awards for it really. I can. Next up, we've got the history of sound from Mubi. This has been talked about. There's been some hype about this going into the festival because of the stars in it, of course. We'll get into the reviews. It's sitting right there at a 75% on Rotten Tomatoes. Not terrible, but definitely not amazing. In case you don't know about it, directed by Oliver Hermanes, who recently did like Living, starring Bill Nighy, is his most recent film, starring Paul Mescal and Josh O'Connor and Chris Cooper. Lead being Paul Mescal, and in case you don't know, it's about two men who during World War I set out to record the lives, voices, and music of their American countrymen. Paul Mescal is the lead. People have been actually surprised about how little Josh O'Connor is in the film, so it's definitely centered around Mescal, and it's a romantic film. These are two gay men and their relationship. So let's just look at the reviews. Let's see what's going on. So first up, we have Mia, who says the history of sound isn't the gay romance it was sold as. Josh O'Connor's barely in it. Paul Mescal can't lead it on his own, and the emotion feels forced because the movie doesn't focus on their relationship. Instead of tears, I left feeling emotionally manipulated. Definitely not a positive thought there. So yeah, as I said, Josh O'Connor from the review seems like he's not in it a lot. But whatever his disappearance seems to cause Paul Mescal's character to be like going through some emotional turmoil, and it feels manipulative, is what I've seen on multiple reviews. A more positive-ish one here from Richard Lawson, who says, at times, Hermanes' style is effective, selling us on the film's lonely, years-spanning heart sickness, but too often the film's muted emotions feels more gimmicky than credible to Lionel and David's circumstances. So yeah, once again, the emotions feeling gimmicky and not earned, not real, not believable. Let's read one more, a negative one. Ben Kroll, who says, don't let the title fool you. The history of sound is an awfully muted affair, muted in color, performance, tenor, and tone. Yeah, so it's also a long effort. I believe it is one of the longer films in competition here. So doesn't seem to be working for a lot of people. It's interesting. I saw most of the reviews that popped out were negative ones, but it's most people are still liking it. It's sitting at a 75%, so it's working for most people out of 16 reviews. But it just seems like a letdown, at least compared to the expectations going into it. So yeah, it seems like it either works for you or it doesn't. So once again, as I say with all of these films, watch it to form your own opinion. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens there. The letterbox curve is pretty much just like a up the hill then down the hill. It's like a story arc, the 3-act structure. So yeah, most people giving it like 3 stars. No one's raving about it. No one's giving 4.5 or 5s. No one's like hating it, giving it like 1.5. Most people giving it like in the range from 2 to 3.5, 4. It seems. So yeah, I heard going into the festival that the film was not amazing, so it doesn't surprise me, but it is nonetheless disappointing because it had a lot of promise to it with everyone attached. So I'll still obviously watch it, see how I feel about it. Let's quickly talk about it. Eleanor the Great, Scarlett Johansson's directorial debut, starring June Squibb at her second time, I believe, in her entire career leading a film at the age of 94 years old. Also starring Chiwetel Ejiofor and Aaron Kellyman. It is about after 70 years with her best friend, Eleanor moves to New York City for a fresh start. I imagine her friend maybe dies. Making new friends at 90 proves difficult, so she is longing for connection, and she befriends a 19-year-old student who is played by Aaron Kellyman. Not the best reviews, sitting at a 50 on Metacritic, a 57% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's out of competition, so this is the main out of competition title, our last title we're going to be talking about. I do want to talk about Urchin at some point. That's Harris Dickinson's directorial debut. Another actor directorial debut, which has gotten the best of all of the actor directorial debuts at the festival with this Chronology of Water and then Urchin. So I'll talk about that at some point, but we've already got plenty to talk about today. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like the type of film that you would take to Cannes. That's why I was a little surprised to see it here. It seems like the storyline and the vibe, and we'll get into it with the reviews, like a perfect Sundance premiere, but we'll see. It seems like a fun time. Let's look at the reviews. We've got Ed Potton, who says, Scarlett Johansson's Eleanor the Great is exactly the kind of conventional performer-led film one would expect from an actor. It also has the jackpot combination of being tear-inducing and laugh-out-loud funny. So yeah, it seems like it would be like it's conventional, it's predictable, but June Squibb is great in it. It's funny and it's moving. It's just kind of, it's not like an artsy film, so once again, Cannes just doesn't completely fit as a place to premiere it for me. Like I wonder if like Thelma premiered at Cannes, like if it would be sitting at like the kind of reviews that Eleanor the Great is sitting at right now. I love Thelma. I thought Thelma was amazing. I thought June Squibb was great in it. I thought it was funny and it was also emotionally moving, if not a bit conventional. A negative one here, we've got Jonathan Itkonen, who says it robs itself of context and the audience the ability to think beyond the immediate. We can laugh and cry, but only in the moment. If we consider Eleanor the Great even for a minute upon exiting the theater, it unravels before our eyes, giving it a 2 out of 5 there. Um, that kind of that doesn't. I mean, it's the kind of like I said, it's a more conventional. Sounds like a more conventional film that maybe doesn't have like the kind of weight to it that a lot of the Cannes films tend to have. Um, but if you have it seems like you'll have a fun time watching it, like cotton candy. It's fun to eat and it dissolves, and there's not a ton going on there, but you enjoyed it. And based off the letterbox curve, no one hates it. No one's giving it super low reviews. No one's also giving it like, as you can see there, it's got some, but not a ton of like 5 stars or 4.5 stars. Most people are giving it 3, 3.5, or 4. So it's enjoyable, but it's not. And it seems like a good directorial debut for Scarlett. I'll be interested to see if she continues and what she does after this. And I'm just excited for June Squibb. I love June Squibb so much. I thought she was amazing in Thelma. I think she's a great actress, and I just love to see her having these opportunities at this point in her career, leading films. So I'm excited to see it wherever. I don't know what it's being released by Sony Pictures Classic, so I don't know what its release schedule will be. But wherever and whenever I'm able to see it, as soon as I can, I will see it because I support June Squibb no matter what. Jury grid here. I believe last time we updated this, we left off at Eagles of the Republic. So Alpha debuted there at a 1.5. Not amazing, obviously, about the same as the exact same that Eddington got. It was just an accident. Got a 3.1, which is our first time that anyone has matched what Two Prosecutors was able to do. So obviously a great sign there. Then Fury, which I forgot to talk about in last video, and I didn't have time to add it into the jam-packed episode that we already had here, but pretty much the consensus is not great. Joe sitting at a 1.0, which is even lower than Alpha and Eddington. It's still got some positive reviews. Only a few films left. We've got The Mastermind still to premiere. We've got there's a few other things, but we've got the majority of the films premiered and reactions and reviews out there. So if I were to guess right now, I might just say Sentimental Value is going to win the Palme just because it's gotten the biggest raves and it makes sense. And I think maybe you give Panahi director, and then I think maybe you give the Grand Prix to Sound of Falling. I think you give actress to J Law. I think actor is tricky because if you give Sentimental Value the Palme, I don't think you give actor to Stellan Skarsgard as well. Maybe, but maybe the actor from Sarat or the lead actor in New Wave, maybe one of those two. And then screenplay, The Secret Agent. I feel like that got pretty good reviews for Philo. So that's probably what I'd say right now. But obviously, we've still got Resurrection as well from Be Gone, as well as Mastermind from Kelly Reichardt. I think are the main contenders left to premiere. So obviously up in the air. Barring those film reviews, that's probably around what I would predict right now. We'll do it in our final video, our Palme d'Or and other category win predictions. But comment yours down below. Where are you sitting in those regards? And yeah, that is day, what was this, 8 and 9 of the Cannes Film Festival. Comment your thoughts below. How excited are you for Sentimental Value? Yeah, do you think it's going to win the Palme? Are you little, like, it'll probably happen, but part of me is still skeptical. But yeah, comment how you are feeling about that down below. Which of these films are you most excited to see? All that fun stuff. Which of them will carry over the Oscars? All that stuff. So, and yeah, subscribe to stay tuned. We probably only have one more Cannes recap video in us covering the rest of the films. And then Palme d'Or prediction video. And then Palme d'Or, we'll have it on Saturday, I believe. So coming up. And then after that, after we've got all the Cannes stuff behind us, we've got a whole summer of extremely early Oscar predicting to do. So you'll want to be subscribed to stay tuned for all that stuff. Like the video, all that stuff. Thank you, and au revoir.